This is episode 253 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. With my guests, everybody knows I like to have two guests, Ryan Bevilacqua and Cory Jacobson. They are behind the Wealth Juice podcast and the Wealth Juice Inner Circle. They've built up a portfolio recently and over the years. I'm excited to have them. Guys, welcome to the show.
Jonathan, thanks for having us on, man. This is awesome. We found out that you're in our backyard, sort of. So it's nice to connect with people that are local.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, welcome to you too. It's always cool. I think we were going to go overtime on our pre-podcast chat, which all podcasters, as you guys know, it's like, you don't want to kill all the good stuff before. We got to turn these mics on, right?
100%, man. Thank you for having us. Yeah, we tend to do that on our show too. A lot of pre-recording. There's a lot of gems that get dropped in, but I'm glad we're recording now, and we'll save the good stuff.
Yeah. We'll just have to re-up anything that was really hot from before. But for both of you, when was the first time that real estate started to play a role in your lives?
Ryan and I are I'm 33, Ryan's 34. We met in college back at Temple University. Shout out to Temple University. We were in a fraternity, but we, started working actually at the same company after school. And we realized that this 9-to-5 grind was, it was something that we knew was necessary. Like we couldn't, we weren't like, Elon Musk starting a company, but we're like, this is really not for us. Like, how long do we have to do this? Is this the thing that I went to college for to figure out? Like, it's kind of, okay, there's got to be more. We got into the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. We started listening to Bigger Pockets. We were both like 25, 26. We were living together. We always kind of knew we would be like partners in some way. We just vibed really well.
Yeah.
And I was told actually by my boss where I worked, he's like, you know what? I know we're only paying you $35,000, but I can really try to get you up to $45,000. But what you should do is you should buy a 5-bedroom house and rent out 4 of the bedrooms to the people that live here. So essentially so that he could keep me staying there that, and I could reduce my housing costs. So I sort of took his advice. I bought a 3-bed, 2-bath in Philadelphia. And I rented out 2 of the bedrooms to people that were my friends.
Yeah.
And I lived for free. And I was like, this is awesome. Like I'm able to reduce my housing costs. I ended up leaving that company and going to work for my family business, which I no longer do, but in sales. And Rye saw what I was doing. I bought another duplex, and he's like, dude, you're doing what we always wanted to do, what we've always talked about. Like, let's start something. So COVID hits. We start our real estate company together, our podcast, our social media platform, because we were not going to sit around. And we just were like, maybe people will follow along in our journey. Maybe instead of listening to people that have 1,000 units that started in 1993, maybe people will latch on to us, and I can get into our portfolio. But that's essentially how it started. And we were just like, people did. They followed along, and it grew organically. We were able to organically network with people who were a few steps ahead of us. And that's the best decision we ever made.
Yeah, we burned the boats with like a small fleet of opportunity already there. And I would liken your partnership to what house hackers have to think of as they go through their life. Your single house hacker has so many more options. They can knock out a basement unit and then rent the 2 above and live in the illegal one. Once you have a partner and a kid, like your house hacking opportunities change a little bit. You might start thinking about houses. So it's very similar to investing. Like you're going to level up at different areas, but it doesn't mean you can't accumulate more units and use what you have at the time to do that. Is that how it's working for you, Cory? Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I think, I was even talking to my girlfriend recently, like before we do the marriage and kids thing, to do one more house hack. And that would be more so buying there's new construction duplexes and triplexes, right? Just to have that asset to build for the future, stay there for 6 months to a year and leave.
Yeah.
But I think house hacking was the best decision that I could have ever made in real estate. And we teach people how to buy their first or next rental property based on what we know and what we've done. We have a coaching program that does that. But I found that house hacking is the easiest thing to implement, the easiest thing to teach. And it gives you that little bit of delayed gratification where we have friends, people that we know that were renting the $2,500, $3,000, $3,500 a month apartment downtown because they felt that they deserved it in their 20s and late 20s and early 30s. And my thought was like, okay, I want to live my life. I want to do all these things, but if I can blend still having my own space with delayed gratification and building an asset that's going to pay me in the future, and as I move out, that thing cash flows $1,000 a month, I just think my future self is gonna thank me later. So I would do it if I was telling anybody some advice. I don't care if you're you probably need a little bit of seasoning at your job. Maybe you're 24, 25, 26. You 100% should house hack. And if you can move out every 6 months or every year and do it again, do it as
Yeah,
many times as you can. And you can look back when you're 30 and have 3 to 5 properties. And that could honestly, John, that can set up your entire, like you could,
yeah, yeah.
you will retire a millionaire if you just work the rest of your life and had 4 to 5 properties based on inflation alone. So I think people think about this. Most people are like, hey, I want to get into real estate because I want to exit my job. I want to quit my job. I hate my life. I don't like what I'm doing. And we looked at it very differently. Like, look, this is going to be a parlayed system of
Yeah, yeah.
doing something we really, really enjoy, building up the real estate on the side until the one day the real estate can take over. But it's also using that sales fuel and the negotiation fuel and the things that we learned in our full-time jobs to fuel our real estate business, not like, oh, completely shut my brain off because I hate what I do. So it's the parlaying of the skill sets, I think, that has helped us. And yeah, I mean, house hacking was hands down the thing that changed the game. And it allowed me to think bigger about my housing expenses and living expenses, and best decision I ever made for sure.
And when you do what you say, you build trust. So you're repeatedly building trust by just holding up your end of the bargain. And again, my podcast is about the mindful approach to real estate investing, and this is all built into it. What work are you going to do on yourself? If you're in a bad space mentally and you're not really rock solid as a person, you're really shitty at all of your deals. You're not going to be good at real estate investing. You're not going to be good in the house. You're not going to be really good at anything because you haven't worked on your own stuff. Then when you do and you get clear on what you want and what your priorities are, and you stick to them, like you said, now all of a sudden you're better at everything, but because everybody knows they can finally rely on you, right? I
Without a
mean,
doubt.
this is it. It's not, people take away I've done a lot of posts on like mental health and what it takes to get there, but people just kind of put it to the side because they're into the work grind culture.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's kind of like it, in order to buy the real estate and be the entrepreneur, it's not about the actions of doing that. It's about becoming the person that can actually get that stuff done. So you have to become the person that has the ability to do these things. And it doesn't happen by you just not only showing up, but then it's like follow through and continuous follow through. So, I mean, to me, the mindset approach of the entire thing is like what makes the person. And I'm kind of addicted to the progress, which is good because we've found like a solace in the process and not the end destination. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. I'm pissed when things go wrong. Like I'm emotional about things, but I kind of always remind myself that like, if I do these things because XYZ person who's a couple steps ahead of me told me to, and they're in this position, if I continuously do these things, eventually the process becomes the result. And that to us is like, that's the most fun to teach because it opens people's eyes.
Ryan, what's the best advice that you could give to somebody who's new to real estate, who was in your shoes, 5 years ago? They want to get started now. Rates are high. There's a ton of content on there. What's the first thing that they should do that might help them get up a level instead of all the other people that we've talked about who just kind of hang around but get nothing done?
I'm going to kick it back to my whole mantra of this thing. It's the who, not how. You need to surround yourself with the people that are actively doing what you want to do. So if you are an aspiring real estate investor, you need to get around people that are buying real estate, the style that you want. We already talked about house hacking, right? There's a great book. I think it's just called House Hacking 101 or something like that. Craig Curelop wrote it,
Yeah.
Vic Pocket's book. Awesome. Like for us, we had him on our podcast and we learned all about house hacking. But Cory already did house hacking. So my point overall is to get yourself in the rooms with these people is so key. What you can do is leverage social media. I know it sounds crazy, but today you can link up with someone, a CEO of a company, by one DM or one conversation, and you don't have to deal with any gatekeepers. So what we train people is like, hey, put in your bio that you're an aspiring real estate investor, put exactly what you're looking to do, the niche, and people are gonna be like, oh, okay, like I'll give you the time of day. But even if you've had 1 or 2 units and you want to scale up to multifamily, put that you're a real estate investor, tell people what you've done in a quick little bio. So that way, they have the confidence that you're going to kind of show up and that you've already done something. You have a little bit of a track record. And for us, it's not only, we think about this not only on a local basis. I recommend people to, even if you have no deals, join your local real estate meetup group.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're in South Jersey. For us, we immediately joined the South Jersey real estate meetup group. And you know what? We just showed up to the meetings. A lot of them were on Zoom. We got to meet people that were doing the deals. They had contractors, they had attorneys. And we found mentors through that, right? And then we just hugged the people that were doing the deals and said, okay, what do you think about this? Blah, blah, blah. And you inch your way to the top. And I'm sure Cory has some perspective on this too. But for us, if I could go back and dial all the way back to day one of us starting our journey, I think we ended up doing that without thinking about it on purpose. We started interviewing all the people that were doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves getting yanked up to their level. And then it was creatively, okay, how do we provide value to them? And like, what's our little like turnkey factor here to help them out? So read the book, Who Not How, read the book, Tribe of Millionaires.
So good.
Do actionable things that you can do today. And I think it'll get you in the mode to be like, I get it. And then the next stage is really diving in on the, how do I go do this? How can I prove value? Even if it's paying a little bit to get in the rooms, and then you raise your hand and ask all the questions.
Yeah.